Have you ever wanted to write your own anime opening, but you just have no idea where to start? Well, in today's video, I'm going to show you the surefire structure that I've studied the pros use in their anime openings, how you can apply it to your own music, and the core things you need to focus on. So our next question is, what instruments are we going to use to write our anime opening? Well, that's easy. Though it can be easy to feel overwhelmed when you're hearing an opening on TV and there's just so many sounds going on, we're going to stick to 5 core instruments. And those are: 1, our vocals. This is the focus of our song, the main melody, our singer. The second, the drums. The drums relay the rhythm of our song and just their hype, they're cool. Then we got our bass guitar. The bass guitar lays down the harmony for our track and plays the low beefiness that really gives the song punch. Next, we have our rhythm guitar. A rhythm guitar is going to be playing the chords of our song. Lastly, our lead guitar. The lead guitar plays our main melody in the intro and adds some hype to our chorus and throughout our song. How fast should our song be? Well, for an anime song, the ones that really get your blood going, we're going to stick to 180 BPM. This is a pretty good ballpark range to start if you don't know how fast your song should be.
So a good way to start a song is what's called a tag. This is usually a 1 to 2 bar phrase that gets the listener hooked. So a very simple one that you might hear in some songs is just a 4-bar crash, like 4 crash cymbals. That's a very easy way to start a song, just like as a count in. You write your intro like about 16 bars total. Think in groups of 4. For this guide, every instrument's going to be playing a very simple part to show it works. So the drums for the intro are just going to be playing a 4 on the floor. They want to be simple so it doesn't get in the way of the other instruments. The bass is going to lay the harmony, so it's going to lay it on our chords. So for here, we're using a common anime progression of 4, 5, 6. And that's going to be a C is going to be our 4, the F, the 5, the G, and then the 6, which is... And that's going to be a chord progression the majority of the song. The rhythm guitar is going to be playing power chords, and it's just mimicking the bass. So it's also going to be playing the 4, 5, and 6. So together... And then you add the lead guitar, which will play the main melody. And a good rule of thumb for writing a lead guitar part, generally have the rhythm of the first 2 bars repeat. So for instance, here, if I overlap what I wrote, it's basically the same thing. It's the same rhythm, except on the second bar, I just raise the note to fit the chord we're using. That's the first 4 bars. So you want to when you're writing music, you want to generally think in groups of 4 bars. So after this 4 bars, which is the setup, we're doing whole notes on the bass and the rhythm, and this is playing the melody. The rhythm is going to repeat, and the drums are also going to keep their kick drum. However, the bass and the rhythm guitar, just to add hype, are just going to play eighth notes. And increasing note frequency or the subdivision is a very easy way to add hype. So going from whole notes to eighth notes, now we're going from somewhere. And it's the same chord progression. And now that's the first 8 bars. Now the second 8 bars are the part the show's title plays in the background. It's the sunset. So for this, we're increasing the bass and the rhythm guitar are going to stay the same. You can keep them for the next 8 bars. You can keep them the same thing they were playing for simplicity. The drums, to add up the energy, is going to now play a snare along with the 4 on the floor and also an open hi-hat. So that would be something like this. And then the lead guitar is also going to change its melody up. So to do that, it just has bigger jumps from, like you can see, like bigger jumps between it. And that adds the hype. So you just change the melody, use more jumps, same rules apply. So altogether, that's... When writing your anime verse, you want to keep everything simple. For instance, the drums are still going to just play the 4 on the floor, and they're not using the snare to keep the energy lower. The bass is also playing its 8th note rhythm that it used in the intro, except it's a little less volume. The rhythm guitar is going from chords. We're still doing the F, G, A, but it's using palm mutes, so it sounds simpler and less intense than the power chords. Drop the lead guitar, generally in the first 8 bars, and we add our vocal. Now, the second part of the verse, I like to divide the next 8 bars of the verse into two parts. So the part two increases the energy. So to do that, all we're going to do is the drums are going to add the snare and change their kick up and so the snare is just adding energy. Usually when you want a more energetic part, you add the snare. So for part two, we're upping the intensity. We're adding the snare. You can do the bass is staying the same eighth note pattern. The rhythm guitar is saying it's same eighth note pattern. And the melody also can repeat just like in the intro for the lead guitar. Generally, you can repeat your melody with like slight variations and it'll still sound pretty good. And lastly, to also add the intensity, the lead guitar is just going to be playing a supporting part. And when you're writing the lead guitar supporting part, you generally want the rhythm pretty repetitive and you don't really want to use big jumps. That way it doesn't get in the way of the vocal. So all that together is going to sound like this, the whole verse. Okay, now we're on to the pre-chorus. The pre-chorus is going to be 8 bars, and its job is to build up tension for the chorus. So to do that, other artists will do is they will switch their drums, their snare to the halftime. So that means instead of playing on the 2 and the 4, it's just going to play on the 3. Your drums with a halftime snare, and you want to change your time from the verse. So for our case, we came off a hi-hat, and I'm just putting a floor tom. And that also is cool. So the bass, when you're writing a bass for the pre-chorus, one cool thing to do is to use jumps. And to do that, you use bass notes from its first, its third, and its fifth. And you can also do octaves. So generally, if you're in an F chord, you generally want to stick to these notes, like the first, the third, and the fifth, and you can use the octave. And it all still fits in the chord. Since these all note like F, A, C all make a chord, it still works. Now the rhythm guitar, it's slowing down here. If you're writing your guitar part, what you can do, generally longer chords are pretty good, like whole note chords. And here I just use bar chords instead of power chords, but you could very easily still keep the power chords and it'll work just as well when you're writing. We're not going to use the lead guitar for the pre-chorus. And then the melody also, the vocal is just also likes to use jumps. So we have these bigger gaps between our notes compared to the verse where they're slower. So you can write your melody with like bigger gaps. And that's for the first part, to be like this. And then the second part of the pre-chorus, I call the hype part of the pre-chorus. This part is where the energy increases, so you really, really want that chorus. So to do that, go back to our standard time snare, which is just a snare on the 2 and the 4, and we're just using a kick. You can use just a simple kick pattern. It doesn't have to go crazy. You can also write the bass with one note, and the melody as well. You can keep relatively less jumpy and more straightforward. Now for the chorus. The chorus is the big part of the song that everyone remembers. So to do that, it has the most energy. So all our instruments can be playing. Our drums, our bass, our rhythm, our lead, and our vocals are all going to be playing. So the drums, generally when you're writing chorus, drums are going to have a straightforward pattern. So we're not using 4 on the floor, but just standard time snare using, this is a very common kick pattern. And we're using an open hi-hat. Generally want to stick to the open hi-hat just because it's a more energetic timekeeper, and we're sticking to eighth notes because eighth notes are pretty energetic. For the bass, keep it simple, and when you're writing, and just stick to one chord. And we'll just change up the chord progression slightly. We're going from our 4, so we have our 4, 5, and we're just using the 3, which is the E, to A. So when you're writing the rhythm guitar for the chorus, you can keep it simple and just use eighth note power chords the whole time. So for the vocals, the melody will, it'll be playing its higher notes, and you can use more jumps. Lastly, our lead guitar is playing, and a very easy thing you can do when writing your lead guitar part, you just double the note, like you do an A, Generally, let it play either the first, the third, or the fifth of the chord, but it gives it really cool color. And the whole chorus is going to sound like this.
And there you have it. That's how you can write your very own anime opening. If you found this video useful, feel free to leave a like or subscribe, or comment on what you would like to learn about or any questions you had, and I'd be happy to help you out. Alright, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.